And we're back for Season 3, Episode 2 of Pacific Indians Chatter. We had a great start to our show last week. And thank you for joining us again for Episode 2 of Season 3. Now let's jump right into things. Let's go to the Riverbend Roundup. Out at Riverbend, the girls basketball program started up their season this week with their first couple games. They opened on Monday night with Washington at Pacific. It was a tough night for the Indians. Washington, always a very tough team to play. The 7th graders dropped the first game of the night 30-14. And then the 8th graders dropped their first game of the year 29-14 to Washington. Later that week, the Indians traveled to Cuba on Thursday night, where both teams would pick up their first wins of the season. The 7th grade team won 30-11, and they were led by Carly Wingler and Stevie Thompson, both in double-digit points for the Indians. On the 8th grade side of things, the 8th graders won 41-19. They were paced by Emma Vondre and Maddie Brown with 12 points each and Aubrey Davis with 11. The Lady Indians travel to Union and St. Clair this week and then look to start a tournament in the next week. On to cross country at Riverbend. They had a meet at Steelville this week. And it looks like the girls team finished fifth place, and Kylie Vaughn was 12th place. Brooklyn Godfrey 14th place. Way to go, girls. There. Football played Fests this week. And I never heard a score there, so we will have to try to update that next week for everybody. And now, let's go up to 425 Indian Warpath Drive. And let's start with softball for the week. The Lady Indians actually had 5 games this week, and they went 3-2 this week in those 5 games. They started the week off with a very, very good Washington Blue Jays team who actually just won a tournament this weekend themselves. The Indians lost that one 19-5. And then they bounced back, though, with a trip to St. James, where they won that 18-4. And then they were in the Owensville tournament this weekend. They lost a close one to Owensville, 5-4. And in that game, the Indians played pretty well, pretty good game, well pitched. Milo Miller went 5 innings, 4 hits, 5 runs, only 1 earned, and 5 strikeouts. And then they beat Vienna in the second game. Vienna ended up winning the tournament. So they picked up a big win against Vienna. In that game, Ayla Shapinski was 2 for 3, kind of led the way there. She also threw the ball for the Indians 7 innings and picked up the win. And then in Game 3 of the day, they played the St. Pius Lancers. And going through there, Kayla Swinford had two hits with 2 RBIs, and Ellie Groom also had 2 hits with 3 RBIs. Drove in a lot of runs. Avery Meyer was 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs as well. Peyton McFarland picked up the win on the mound with 5 innings pitched and 8 strikeouts for the Indians. The Indians will have St. Clair at Herman this week coming up. St. Clair is senior night. So if you can make it out, come support those seniors. It'll be JV first, I believe, and then the varsity will follow. Now let's move over to volleyball. Volleyball had a kind of a lighter week this week. They only had 1 contest during the week. They had Melville come to town, and the varsity picked up a big win against Melville in 3 straight sets. This weekend was the freshman and JV tournament at Pacific. I know the JV girls won their pool play but dropped the semifinal game to Lindbergh. And the freshmen picked up a couple wins in pool play, but did not make it out of pool play, however. Football traveled to Union on Friday night for a big conference game. The Indians dropped that one 28-7. Union's a tough team to play. Union does not throw the ball. I think they threw it maybe twice all night. They just run. Looking at stats for the Indians, Seth Stack had 17 rushing attempts for 48 yards. Brock McKinney, 9 for 33. Seth was 15 for 25 passing for 187 with a touchdown and an interception. Leading the way of the receiver corps was Parker Thomas, had 5 for 70, and Gabe Wiersma had 6 for 59. The Indians we'll have Sullivan this week on Thursday night. That's just a reminder for everybody. Thursday night this week, Sullivan comes to town for senior night for the football Indians. And as we move through to the other sports here, let's go to cross country. Cross country had a fairly busy week for them. They had a big meet as well at Steelville. And in that meet, the varsity girls that medaled for the Lady Indians on the cross country side was Grace Dreyer came in second, Maddie Rush in third, Aiden Lawler seventh, Michaela Sano eighth, Ruby Jones 13th, Gabby Brandon 14th, Cheyenne Brinson 18th, Dixie Mayfield 19th, and Sarah Halcomb 20th. The girls' cross-country team seems to be fairly loaded this year, with a lot of people going for medals every week, it seems like. On to the boys' side of things, Ben Smith with the win. He came in first. Dax Harrison right behind him in second, and Lucas Godfrey in sixth. So again, a great meet for the Indians at the cross-country side of things. We expect to see a bunch more out of them as we keep going, as they get closer and closer towards districts. And then on to soccer, the big one for the week. The soccer team had never started a season 7-0 on the boys' side. And Rolla came to town, and Rolla is a very, very good soccer team this year, bigger school. And the Indians took them down 2-1 to run to 7-0 for the first time in program history. That game came down to penalty kicks. It was a very, very intense game, back and forth. And very much a fun game to watch. If you haven't seen the Indian soccer team yet, you need to come out and watch them. And then on Tuesday night, I did have the privilege to watch the whole game against Veritas. Veritas, another very good small school team. And it was tight all the way through until we saw one really pretty goal. Gage Clark cross into the box, and Aiden Downey with a header for a 1-0 lead. The Indians ended up putting on a couple extras late and finished the game 3-0. This week for the Indians, they have Warrenton, and then they travel to DeSoto as they look to see if they can't run their record to 10-0 after 2 more games this week. And now, it's time for Performance of the Week. My Performance of the Week this week is going to go to Ian Goodwin, who mans the net for the boys soccer team. Ian faced 23 shots, making 22 saves this week for the Indians in their big win over Rolla and Veritas Christian Academy. On the season, Ian has just been lights out in net for the Indians. He is currently sitting at 4 goals allowed on 70 shots. So he's made 66 saves on the year, and he sits with an 8-0 record. Great start to the year, great week for Ian Goodwin, and that is my Performance of the Week. Next week, we're looking to catch up with Coach Dome, possibly Friday after that Thursday night game. It's going to be a little weird playing a football game on Thursday night. That's going to be kind of different, have to go to school the next day after a football game, which is just something I don't think anybody's really used to. We'll also look to catch up with the other coaches too, Coach Smith, and see how the soccer boys have been really doing all year, and hopefully they keep it going this week. And if time allows, we will try to get maybe another interview with somebody here and there, maybe Coach Gilcrease, talk a little 7th grade girls basketball. Thank you all for listening to this week's show. So we will look to expand upon the show as we get going and get back into the swing of things. Until next week, keep up the chatter.